Flat Creative Soltar Solutions, and I'm so excited to be here today with Regina Barr, and we are going to talk about negotiation. Now, this is something that I am very, very excited, very interested in, because it is the difference between making a lot of money or a little bit of money, having a vacation and maybe not, having a corner office or maybe a cubicle. It will dictate, your ability to negotiate will dictate just about everything in your work and also your home life. So being a good negotiator is going to be a very powerful skill to have. And Regina, who's an excellent negotiator, is going to help us with that. Regina, thanks so much for being here.
Thanks for having me, Lori. Very excited. And this is an incredibly important topic for men and women, but especially for women, because women do not like to negotiate on behalf of themselves. They will negotiate and they will go to the mat for anybody in their life, and especially their kids, but they leave themselves out of that.
Why? Why?
I think part of it is that our society sort of socializes us to believe that women shouldn't negotiate. It's sort of like, we shouldn't be asking for what we need and want. So I think part of it is socialized, and I think some of it is how we personally feel about negotiation. Most people look at negotiation as a four-letter word and not a good four-letter word. So a lot of times women just kind of push away from it. And I think part of it is because I think when women think about negotiation, because we tend to be very relational, we want to make sure that everyone walks away with a win-win and feels good, that I think we tend to believe that negotiation means that if I get something, that means someone else is doing without, and we tend to not like that.
So you believe, or people believe, you believe that people believe, women believe, that if they get more, somebody else gets less?
Right.
Really?
Yes. So what I try to tell people, so they operate with a scarcity mentality.
Okay.
And I try to tell women you need to change that mindset, because they need to operate from a place of abundance, that there's plenty to go around, and because you get a piece of the pie doesn't mean that there's less pie for everyone else. Plenty of pie to go around. So we have to really learn to train ourselves to not only expect more and to be okay with the fact that we can get more without putting someone else at a disadvantage.
This is really interesting because somebody has to have that corner office. Okay, it's not like if a woman gets a corner office, it automatically nobody else is going to have a chair to sit in. She could get the corner office just like anyone else could have the corner office. But I think what goes on is they believe that they're begging for something, or they're asking for something that maybe they don't deserve. I think it's an issue of self-worth. What do you think about that?
I think you're right. On some level, I think some women do feel that they're not worthy of that corner office. And so, I think you and I have talked in the past that many times there's competence and confidence. Very rarely do I see women not have the competence to do the job. Occasionally, we all have things that we need to learn how to do. Most often I feel it's a confidence thing or a deserving thing. They don't feel that they deserve it. So that's one aspect of it. I think another aspect of that, especially when it comes to women, is that women tend to not be as hierarchical as men. We tend to be more relational. Okay, men tend to be more hierarchical. So when you operate from that hierarchical type of mindset, it makes sense that you're going to go here, 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 and on up the ladder. And that means that you're going to move from this office to this office to this office to the corner office. Now, a lot of women say, you know what, I really don't care if I get the corner office. I don't care if, about those kinds of trappings. They're not important to me. But here's what I will tell you, Lori. They are important because they are a measure of success. They are a measure of power. And I find that a lot of women sort of negate that. And when they do that, they take away from their own personal and professional power, and they also do that for the people that are coming behind them. So for example, when I was in corporate, believe it or not, when you moved to a certain level, it dictated the size of the cubicle you got, how many chairs you got in the office. And you know what? I made sure when I got those promotions that I got the trappings that went along with that promotion, because it's a message to other people about your skill level, your ability, and it's important that we honor and accept and receive those and not sort of poo-poo them or look as if we're not deserving of those things. Those things are important and they have a time and a place, and I think more women need to be accepting of that.
Well, I've been in environments where everything dictated your level. So you could eat in a certain dining room when you became a director, and you couldn't eat in that dining room unless you were a director. And there were certain, you could use the facilities if you were a director. If you weren't, you couldn't. So there's a lot of reasons why moving up that corporate ladder is very important. But I want to go back to something you said earlier, because I think that there's a misconception about negotiation being a win-lose. And I think true negotiation is really a win-win. What do you think about that?
I agree. And so it's interesting when we talk about negotiation, there's two kind of components to a negotiation. There's the substance. And so the substance would be all of those pieces. It's the salary, it's the benefits, it's the corner office. It's all the little pieces that go into that. Then there's what's called the shadow, and those are the relationships. And those relationships are really critical in terms of how we move ahead and how we operate. So whenever the relationship is important to you, you want to make sure that it's a win-win. So for example, if you're going to your boss and you're asking for a salary increase, you need to preserve that relationship, and you need to do it in such a way that it's a win-win for your boss. If you don't make it a win-win, somebody's going to walk away not feeling good about the process. Now, if you're going to negotiate the rate on a car, okay, very often the relationship doesn't matter, because if you don't get the price or the color or something that you don't want, you'll just go down the street, unless it's your father-in-law. Then maybe the relationship matters and you're going to treat that negotiation a little differently. So creating a win-win is ultimately the outcome you want. Very often that I see, particularly with women, is it's a win-lose with them sitting in the loser chair. And we need to switch that. We need to have it be win-win. And occasionally it's okay if it's a win-lose if you're on the winning side too.
Well, I think it's important for people to understand that there's many things that you can negotiate. When they think negotiation, I think what they normally think of is salary. But there's often other things that they can be negotiated that are important for the woman, but not necessarily taking away from the company or the job that they're doing, or, what difference does it make if you come in at 3 o'clock or you come in at 9 o'clock, as long as you're getting your job done and the people that you're talking to are there when you need them. So I think negotiation needs to take a kind of a wider concept there, and people need to think more creatively. What are 3 things that women, and I'm going to use the word should here, should do when going into a negotiation?
Well, the first thing I would say is be prepared. It's sort of like when you negotiate, if you think of an iceberg, what happens in the negotiation is the very tip of the iceberg. What's really going to help you be successful when you negotiate is all the preparation. It's your job to do the due diligence. It's not the other party's job to do the due diligence. So that's the first thing, prepare. The second thing is you need to be really clear on what you want to get out of the negotiation. So what I always tell people is shoot for the moon, and then negotiate the stars on the way down. And you would be surprised, because very often people come to me and they want me to give them some advice and counsel, and I ask them what they want and they don't know. Okay, so that's the second thing. And the last thing is have alternatives, okay? Understand what the other party wants, understand what you want, and then have some alternatives that you can provide. If you don't get A, ask for B. If you don't get B, ask for C. And with that, here's the one thing that I want. I know you said 3, but I'm going to give you 4. No is just the start of the conversation. So very often, if you get told no, that is the beginning. You need to go back and ask again. Maybe not today, but in the future, because when you negotiate, you plant the seed that you are a negotiator. So I wanted to close with that.
Well, one of the things that I've noticed is that people, especially women, abandon themselves before they ever get to the negotiation table. So they'll say, well, I'd like to get this, but there's no way I could ever get that, so I'll settle for this. Why don't they go for that?
I don't know. I call that where they have that self-conversation in their mind. So I tell women, how about this? let the other person tell you no. Don't tell yourself no. Because the thing is, we talk ourselves out of it. So we say, gee, I think I should get a 10% raise. Oh, the company's only given 3%. I'll ask for 6%. What do you think they get? They get 3% because they already talked themselves down. The other party comes in and says 3%. They don't even ask to come up from the 3%. They've already said, okay, this is all I can get. So they've already acquiesced and kind of rolled over, and they say, okay, I'll take the 3%.
Yeah, I've seen that over and over. Well, thank you so much for coming on. I hope that helps people to understand how to negotiate more effectively.
Thank you, Lori.
You're welcome. Thank you, Regina. This has been a great show. Thanks so much for coming on, and I hope that this helps you to be a better negotiator. And remember, negotiation is not win-lose. It is win-win when it's done properly. So think about how you can create that win-win in your negotiation, and you can walk away from the table with a little bit more. Lori Flaquer, Focus Forward. Thanks so much for tuning in. Bye-bye now.